Yes, we've been criticized quite a bit by even our neighbors of being a bit too quick to meddle in their issues. For example, when we have our activists cross the border and in support of some of the opposition figures there, we've seen what happened in Tanzania, that the authorities there were not very happy with that, and it was actually a security situation. The same happening in Uganda currently. 2 Kenyan activists who went to Uganda are still cannot be accounted for. And do you understand where they're coming from? That they may not really be quick to welcome this kind of meddling from Kenyans?
Well, I wouldn't want to meddle into other countries' affairs. But I ask you a question. Do we have democracy in Tanzania? Do we have democracy in Uganda? And the answer is simply no. And the reason why we are actually seeing today, Samia is running versus Suluhu. This can never happen in Kenya. It basically tells you that democracy is in Kenya. And the reason why we are now starting to export democracy, when we actually realize that our neighbors do not have the same values that we do have in terms of how we manage our state affairs. Mm-hmm. Try the Gen Z thing in Uganda. They tried. Only 23 of them went to the streets. And you know what? The president told them, I will shoot you dead. Mm-hmm. Try these things in Tanzania. You will never see it. And basically, the reason why we actually see Kenyans meddling is because they realize that these people, despite the fact that they say they are democratic countries, are not democratic. Mm-hmm. And so we are trying, our activists are trying to help. And the reason why, today, Tundu Lissu is in jail. Besigye is in jail. Museveni will be running against himself. Samia Suluhu is running against herself. It basically tells you, and I want it to be repeated, it is not wrong for Kenyans to sympathize with our brothers. The only thing that I will not agree is that we should not interfere with people's affairs. Mm-hmm. We should not.
But what does it say, and you call Kenya a big brother in this situation, but being in the center of countries where democracy is not at the same level as us, don't you think that gives Kenya or leaves Kenya with a very big burden? Because the dream of a common federation, political federation, common currency, open borders within the East African community, that has still remained a mirage. Is it because of the level of democracy in this region? We're talking about Somalia, South Sudan, even Ethiopia, Uganda, and Tanzania.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that we are in this situation because all the East African community members are all non-democratic. And the reason why we are not able to realize quickly our common agenda of the East African community. Tanzania has been locking Kenyans in. They have been locking Kenyan products. They have actually even demanded that if you want to go to Tanzania as Kenyans, you're thoroughly vetted. And yet, that is not the spirit of the East African community. We want open borders, we want open movements. Mm-hmm. And that basically tells you that our East African community agenda might not be able to move on. Look at all the countries that are forming the East African community. Rwanda, unfortunately, if I say, is not as democratic as Kenya. Uganda is not. Burundi is not. Tanzania is not. Uganda is not. South Sudan is not. Ethiopia is not. Somalia is not. So all the countries that we form the East African community do not espouse the democratic views that Kenyans have. Mm-hmm. And these democratic views are actually part of that's driving the East African community. Mm-hmm. It basically tells you this East African community thing is going to be a mirage as long as these countries are not able to actually open up their borders, to open up their politics, and to be able to give the citizens of those countries the power to decide. Mm-hmm. Today, Tanzanians are not deciding. Actually, what is happening is a process that is only going to give coronation to Samia Suluhu. They will not have even wasted all this money. They will have just taken her to State House, swear her in, and that is it, because she's going to win by 99.9%. She's winning, she's voting, she's actually vying against nobody.
But listening to you, you seem to have decided that they, especially Uganda and Tanzania, are really not at our level, even in terms of political...
They definitely are not in our level.
But we seem to be turning to them whenever we get conflict, that Yoweri Museveni or leaders like Samia Suluhu Hassan or even the older leaders who led Tanzania are the ones who come to mediate here in Kenya when we have problems? How is that if we say
I've
that
never seen Samia Suluhu coming to mediate anything in this country. I've never seen Museveni coming to do that. Probably what they do is a statement. We just welcome them for our state events, and they do come. We have also gone to their state events, but that does not mean it's mediation. That is building friendship. We are trying to deepen, expand. They will say deepen, expand, I don't know what, the union. So when we welcome them here, it's not that they are coming to help. Even when Kenya had issues in 2007, we had people from South Africa. We had people from Ghana, but not Tanzanians or Ugandans.
No, we had Jakaya Kikwete here.
Jakaya Kikwete came, and you know what Kenyans said? We are not trusting you until Thabo Mbeki came from Tanzania, until the late Kofi Annan.
As recently as 2023, when there was Maandamano after the elections of 2022, there was an instance where we saw Samia Suluhu Hassan come to Kenya to try and probably bring the ODM leader Raila Odinga and President William Ruto together. The success or otherwise of that meeting we still do not know. But yes, we still turn to them.
We did turn to them. They actually came in as big as brothers. You know, brothers come in. But Kenyans did not have faith, just like they didn't have faith in Kikwete in 2007. They didn't have faith in Samia Suluhu. In fact, nobody even listened to her. So if the Maandamano, if the debacle continued for a period of time, you will have actually seen people coming from a little bit far, and probably those are the people that we will have listened to. So as much as they want to come to help, which is very good as brothers and sisters, the levels of confidence Kenyans have for them, it's not there.
Okay. Interesting. Allow me to welcome Senator Joe Nyoto to this conversation. Good morning, Senator. Senator Nyoto is a senator from Murang'a. And Senator, we are discussing what is on the front page of the Standard today and the Daily Nation, Samia versus Suluhu on the front page of the Standard, and Samia eyes history as Tanzania votes, the kind of interest that this has generated on the Kenyan side of the border is what we're questioning. And the first question was, are we meddling? What do you understand this level of interest in elections happening across the border? Looking at the papers from Uganda, they don't seem to realize that there's anything happening in Tanzania.
Thank you, and good morning, Fred. Where I come from, we say that when you come in late, you should get satisfied with the intestines, because otherwise the choice pieces of flesh will have been taken away by those who preceded you, and I believe that Honorable Ote, my friend, has had the best part of the meat in this particular conversation. But allow me to say that, Fred, we have been able to visit as parliamentarians, and I think even in the National Assembly where Honorable Ote sits. In fact, most of the foreign trips that were made by Parliament last year were to Arusha because of the problems that were there with the resources, and I think now to save on airfare, because Tanzania, actually you just need to be driven to Tanzania, especially Arusha. And so when we go there as politicians, and when we went there as politicians, we were of course trying to of course interact with the people. They're not very free in discussing politics, because I think for me what came across to me is that Tanzania is generally a suppressed society. That those who are very open will tell you that if you mention the name of Samia Suluhu, you know, you could get somebody actually abducting you. Because what is there in Tanzania, I can tell you, are abductions. And I think that is where President Ruto had borrowed this idea of abductions to silence dissent.